Hello and welcome to News Central TV. I am Mazino Appeal, and here are some stories making rounds beyond the continent. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has denied reports suggesting that the United States has prior knowledge of the deadly explosions in Lebanon, where pages belonging to hundreds of Hezbollah members detonated. The blasts, which killed 12 people and injured over 2,750, have been blamed by Hezbollah on their longtime rival Israel, a key ally of the U.S. Blinken rejected any accusations of U.S. involvement in the tragic event. Speaking at a press conference in Cairo, Blinken also shifted the conversation to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, emphasizing that a ceasefire remains the most viable path to achieving stability and addressing the growing humanitarian crisis in the region.
So with regard to Lebanon, the United States did not know about, nor was it involved in these incidents, and we're still gathering the information and gathering the facts. Broadly speaking, we've been very clear, and we remain very clear, about the importance of all parties avoiding any steps that could further escalate the conflict that we're trying to resolve in Gaza.
The founder of Taiwan's Gold Apollo, Hu Xinhuang, has denied allegations that his company manufactured the pages used in recent explosions in Lebanon, which resulted in at least 9 fatalities and nearly 3,000 injuries. The blasts were reportedly triggered by pages used by Hezbollah militants across Lebanon. Images of the destroyed devices allegedly showed a format and stickers consistent with those produced by Gold Apollo. Speaking to reporters in Taipei following a report by the New York Times, Hu Xinhuang insisted that his company had no involvement in the blasts.
So 现在你自己公司现在已经不生产的那个叫 AR924，
不生产，从头到尾那个不是我的产品。哎呀，我不是我的产品，我怎么生产
？100%确定那个
100%确定
不是在台湾生产
，100%
也不是你们，
不是我
公司的。
Exploding pages claimed the lives of 12 people in Lebanon, including 2 children, the country's health minister said on Wednesday, updating the toll a day after the blast became on Israel, or rather was blamed on Israel. Hundreds of wireless devices exploded simultaneously across Lebanon on Tuesday, hours after Israel said it was broadening the aims of the Gaza war to include its fight against Hamas ally Hezbollah. Israel has yet to comment on the unprecedented attacks. Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has vowed a reprisal against Israel after hundreds of pages belonging to the group exploded simultaneously across the country, killing at least 12 people. Iran's ambassador to Lebanon was also injured in the explosion, further raising fears of a regional escalation of the conflict. News Central's Senior International Correspondent Adesewa Josh reports from Istanbul, Turkey. Well, we'll bring you that subsequently, but joining me
the small ambulances rushed survivors of the pager attack in Beirut to the hospital. Witnesses say they saw the small communication device suddenly explode across several cities in Lebanon on Tuesday. The attack lasted about an hour and is believed to have targeted members of Hezbollah, a Lebanese armed group that's been attacking Israel in support of Palestinians.
الشهداء حتى اليوم هي 12 شهيد بيناتهم طفلين فتاة عمرها 8 سنوات وشاب صغير عمره 11 سنة.
Hezbollah says at least 2 of its members were killed, including the son of one of its top commanders. Nearly 3,000 people were injured, including Mojtaba Amani, Iran's ambassador to Lebanon.
ایران هیچگاه دنبال این نبوده که جنگ در منطقه گسترش پیدا کنه. اما این نکته را باید در نظر بگیرن که ایران اجازه نخواهد داد که
On Monday, Israel announced plans to expand the goals of the war on Gaza to include returning residents displaced by Hezbollah's attacks in northern Israel, an area which borders Lebanon, to their homes. The UN says more than 80,000 Israelis were evacuated from the region when the war broke out on October the 7th. But residents of Kiryat Shmona, a community bordering Lebanon in Israel's north, say they are now more worried for their safety.
אבל אני לא יודעת מה יצא מזה, כי גם להם יש כל מיני אמצעים להכות בנו. אז יש גם איזה, אני לא יודעת אם להגיד פחד, או חוסר ידיעה, או למה להתכונן.
The US has warned Israel over escalating the fight with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and though all fingers point at Israel, the IDF has declined to comment on the detonations. It's unclear how Hezbollah plans to retaliate, but the coming days could set a new precedent in the war. In Istanbul for News Central, Adesewa Josh.
Joining me now is Adesewa Josh, who just brought us that report. Adesewa, thank you for joining us. Do tell us, what more can we learn about the attack that's just happened?
Thanks, Zeno. You've been speaking a lot about it in your earlier stories. It's basically that about a half an hour ago, we learned from the Lebanon Health Ministry that multiple attacks have gone up again across Lebanon, killing at least 9 people and wounding more than 300 others. This is coming barely 24 hours after the pager explosion across the same country, Lebanon, which killed at least 12 people, wounding thousands. Now, the death toll in both attacks have now been pegged at least 21, with the death toll expected to rise. Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate, but Israel has refused to comment, neither confirming nor denying its involvement in the attack. What Israel has done, however, on Monday was to announce that it wants to expand the goal of its war on Gaza to include the safe return of the evacuated Israelis from the northern border. Now, this part borders Lebanon, back to their homes. They were evacuated when Hamas hit the country on October 7th. So in hindsight now, it looks as if the statement is a tactical announcement of what is now the twin attacks in the last 48 hours, Mazina.
So with Hezbollah saying that they're going to retaliate and Israel not giving any comment, how significant is the incident now and what do we expect in the coming days? Who is this threat being extended to? Is it Israel in this case?
So this attack is significant because it wasn't carried out with ballistic missiles or with drones. It was carried out with a pager. A small communication device used amongst Hezbollah members. Now, what's significant about this pager is that it doesn't use the internet. It is not connected to a cellular tower. And communication on a pager is hard to intercept, which brings the question, how did Israel, if it was involved in the attack, how did Israel compromise the Hezbollah pagers? And that is why how the Taiwanese come in here. Golda Polo, the maker of the Hezbollah pagers, have denied involvement in the explosion, saying we had nothing to do with it. You asked us to make you a pager, and we have done that. Instead, it is pointing accusing fingers to its partners in Budapest. Now, the Hungarian spokesperson, the Hungarian government spokesperson says, well, we are just trading partners. We're not manufacturers of these pagers. So how could we possibly compromise a pager that you made? Now, as you see, this is accusations and counter-accusation as far away in Taiwan and Budapest. It shows how quickly this conflict is going even beyond regional escalation to as far as Asia and Europe. In the coming days, we're going to see more troops unearthed whether by investigations or by people just throwing out what they know about this conflict. But clearly, if Israel was involved, there was obviously an insider tipping off someone in the Israeli government. It's going to be interesting to see also how these conversations play out at the United Nations Security Council, because we're hearing from the Israeli government, even though they're not directly commenting on the pager explosions, the Israeli government is saying for sure that this is a new phase in the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza.
Well, Adesewa Josh, thank you very much for bringing us that report. Thank you. Coming up after the break, Pentagon confirms downing of U.S. MQ9 Reaper. We'll be back. Welcome back. And still in the Middle East, the Pentagon has confirmed that a U.S. MQ9 Reaper drone crashed near Yemen following claims by Iran-backed Houthi rebels that they have downed multiple aircrafts in recent days. The Houthis, who oppose Yemen's government forces and are one of several militant groups in the region, have been launching attacks on shipping vessels in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden since November. Although the group claims these attacks target Israeli-linked ships in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza amid the ongoing Israel-Hamas war, several vessels from countries unaffiliated with the conflict have also been hit. In South America, Colombian authorities are intensifying efforts to control raging wildfires that have now spread across 10 of the country's 32 departments, with at least 21 active fires. Using hoses and Bambi helicopters, heli-buckets, officials are racing against time to contain the flames, which have been exacerbated by the country's current drought and unseasonably hot weather. Bogotá's mayor, Carlos Fernando Galán, said 7 simultaneous fires are being fought in the capital and its surrounding regions. The government has urged citizens to avoid any activities that might ignite new fires.
La zona del sur del país es la más afectada, particularmente los departamentos de Huila. El Tolima también está afectado por estos incendios, Nariño y Cauca. Hay un parte que creo yo podemos hablar en este momento de tranquilidad, sin embargo.
El Comando Aéreo de Combate número 4 con un helicóptero Q-2 equipado con el sistema Bambi Bucket ha efectuado más de 60 descargas, ha lanzado más de 13.500 galones y utilizado 56 galones de líquido retardante.
Acá la invitación es a la comunidad, primero a que señale, a que denuncie comportamientos que van en contravía de lo que es la protección al medio ambiente, que están facilitando los incendios, y también a adoptar buenas prácticas en clave de la protección a los recursos naturales.
The Venezuelan government has announced the arrest of a 4th U.S. citizen, accusing him of being part of a plot to assassinate President Nicolás Maduro in the wake of contested elections, which the opposition claims were rigged. Interior Minister Diosdado Cabello stated that the American, along with 3 other U.S. nationals, 2 Spaniards and a Czech, was apprehended in Caracas. The group was allegedly caught photographing sensitive sites, including electrical installations, oil facilities, and military units. Addressing Parliament, Cabello said the arrested man was part of the plot against Venezuela, which purportedly aimed to assassinate President Maduro, as well as Cabello and other high-ranking officials.
Y anuncio en este momento aquí, señor presidente, en este instante, hace 20 minutos, estaba sentado yo allá adentro, fue capturado otro ciudadano de origen norteamericano. En este momento, norteamericano, que lo veníamos siguiendo, fue capturado aquí en Caracas, tomándole fotos a instalaciones eléctricas, a las instalaciones petroleras, a unidades militares. Tengan la certeza que es así, que este caballero forma parte del plan contra Venezuela, del plan contra nuestro país. Y también en sus prácticas, dice la persona que nos da la información, su enganche era con personas, damas de compañía.
In North America, former President Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail, leaving his Florida home for Michigan, where he held a town hall to appeal to the blue-collar voters he wants to win over. While the assassination attempt on Sunday featured in his remarks frequently, Trump often sought to keep the town event focused on the auto industry and tariff in particular. For News Central Chief International Correspondent Afua Hagen has more.
Being a president is more dangerous than bull riding, Donald Trump said at his first town hall event since an apparent attempt on his life. A suspect in a potential assassination against Mr. Trump at his golf club in West Palm Beach on Sunday has been charged with 2 federal gun crimes. Speaking 48 hours after that incident at a town hall event in Flint, Michigan, where he took questions from supporters, he said being president is a dangerous business.
It's a dangerous business, however, being president. It's a little bit dangerous. It's, you know, they think race car driving is dangerous. No. They think bull riding, that's pretty scary, right? No. This is a dangerous business, and we have to keep it safe.
Trump was in Michigan to tailor his message to blue-collar voters who traditionally voted for Democrats before Trump entered the political scene. He said steep tariffs he would impose on products imported from China, Mexico and other countries would rejuvenate the state's automotive industry and drive an economic boom. Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign has said Trump's proposed tariffs would effectively amount to an inflation-driving national sales tax. Tariffs are paid by the companies that import foreign goods, and Harris's campaign has noted that companies are all but certain to pass those additional costs on to the consumers. Vice President Harris was speaking at the National Association of Black Journalists in Philadelphia, where she said she called Trump following the second assassination attempt.
I checked on him to see if he was okay.
Yeah.
And I told him what I have said publicly. There's no place for political violence in our country.
Both candidates continue campaigning this week across key states as early voting begins. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
In Asia, China has imposed sanctions on 9 U.S. defense firms. Its foreign ministry announced on Wednesday, marking a retaliatory move in response to Washington's recent approval of military equipment sales to Taiwan. Although the United States formally switched diplomatic recognition from Taipei to Beijing in 1979, it remains Taiwan's most crucial partner and largest arms supplier, a stance that has consistently drawn sharp rebukes from China. In recent years, tensions between Beijing and Washington have escalated over several key issues, including trade, access to advanced technologies, and China's increasingly assertive action in the disputed South China Sea.
美国向中国台湾地区出售武器，严重违反了一个中国原则和中美3个联合公报，特别是817公报的规定，严重侵犯了中国的主权和安全利益，损害中美关系和台海和平稳定，向台独分裂势力发出错误信号。中方强烈谴责，坚决反对，已向美方提出严正交涉。中方采取坚决反制措施，已宣布将对9家美国军工企业实施制裁。美方持续武装台湾，对赖清德和民进党当局顽固推行台独 挑衅一个中国原则，趁摇打气。
France and Japan are set to enhance their bilateral military cooperation through the joint land exercise Brunette Takamori, an annual 2-week event that concludes on Saturday. Japanese and French soldiers conducted a joint urban combat exercise at the Ojojihara training area of the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force in northeastern Miyagi Prefecture, named Brunette Takamori 24. The exercise is the first of such drills held in Japan after the two armies launched a joint military cooperation in France last year.
この訓練ではまず、ここ大城原演習場で機能別訓練として戦闘射撃第一戦9号市街地戦闘ヘリボン作戦これらを実施し、日本・フランス間での戦術技量の相互の確認が図ることができました。
Ecuador has ordered for 8-hour power outages overnight to deal with the worst droughts in 60 years, which is threatening the operation of its hydroelectric plants, one of which has even been placed under military custody. In a statement, the rationing will be implemented in the face of the worst drought in 61 years and in order to responsibly manage the control of our electrical systems, they said, which depends on hydroelectric power, said the presidency. It adds that the 8-hour power cuts will take place across the country from 10 p.m. local time between Monday, September 23rd and Thursday, September 26th. And that's all the news on Beyond the Continent. Do remember to send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, StarTimes channel 274, Avo TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.